I don't know, guys. It needs something. Perfect. Let me take you back to 2001. Back to a time when a handheld with an unviewable screen and a sound chip that chirped out noises, not unlike a wad of rusty guitar strings being scraped across your soul, was considered the king of handhelds. Say hello to the Game Boy Advance. One day, Capcom was busy not fucking everything up yet, and decided to put their iconic franchise Mega Man onto this sun-reflecting piece of plastic. But what should this new handheld series be like? Mega Man Zero, the canonical continuation of the main Mega Man narrative, was already in the works, and there was no need for two platformers from the same brand at the same time. This new spin-off would have to be something completely different, and considering the only games that consistently worked well on the GBA's limited hardware were platformers, RPGs, or a mix of the two, the correct path was pretty much already laid out for them. Megaman Battle Network, also known as megaman.exe in Japan, because they pronounced the EXE for some fucking reason, was released in late 2001 and featured an entirely new continuity from the original Mega Man timeline, making it the first Mega Man sub-series to be separated from the main games. See, Mega Man, Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, Mega Man ZX, and Mega Man Legends all take place on a single timeline, spanning hundreds if not thousands of years. But Mega Man Battle Network has no gameplay or even lore connections to those games at all, standing alone as an alternate reality. Think of it as the Steel Ball Run of Mega Man. Characters share names and characteristics, but don't exist in the same ways they did previously. It was originally believed to be a prequel to all of Mega Man, but that idea was eventually shot down by the existence of Star Force. In the Battle Network universe, AI and the internet were the primary source of technological development, rather than physical robots like classic Mega Man. As such, the world revolves around the vast, interlocking series of computers and databases known as the net. Everything, and I mean everything, revolves around the net. To a stupidly absurd degree. There are like statues and trash cans with USB plugs on them. This shit is nuts. With a society so heavily based around this technology, it makes sense that people would need someone or something to help guide them and interact with said technology. That's where the net navigators, shortened to net navies, or just navies, come in. Net navies are, well, imagine Clippy, but an anime robot. They're artificial people created to assist their human companions, or operators, with net-related affairs. Most navies exist in a personal terminal, or PET, do you see what they did there, and have to be physically connected to major computers to interact with them, a process known as jacking in. As I'm sure you've picked up, this isn't really anything like Mega Man whatsoever. That applies to the gameplay as well, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Let's just hop into the game for now. On an average day in the year 2000, a lazy young middle school kid named Lan Hikari is woken up for school by his net navi, megaman.exe. Lan is the son of a prestigious technical specialist named Yuichiro, who is not only the world's leading authority on PETs, but also created Mega Man himself specifically for Lan, making him incredibly unique. Along with his mother, he lives in the small suburb of AC/DC Town, inside of the larger region known as Dentech City. Outside, we're introduced to Mail, Lan's super obvious love interest and the operator of Roll. If you've watched the NT Warrior anime, you might be confused by her name because they call her Meilu in the English dub. This is either a lip flap matching measure or just a translation bug. This may seem pointless to bring up, but I went on this little tangent because there's a lot of translation name-based fuckery that we're gonna have to talk about in this series, and it can make things really confusing, so you should be introduced to it now. On the way to school, Mail strikes up a conversation about the ovens that have been exploding around town. The what? In class, we get a chance to meet Lan's other two friends, this huge guy with an unfortunate head shape, and this small girl with an unfortunate head shape. Dex is a boisterous and somewhat dim, but ultimately well-meaning guy, and his NetNavi is the fittingly big and dumb megaman.exe. While Yai is a pampered rich kid and the operator of Glide, a calm butler-like NetNavi who isn't based on any previous Mega Man character, or at least that's what I thought. There's a character named Glide in Mega Man Legends, but he doesn't look or act anything like this character, so Class begins, and the first lesson is virus busting. Excuse me? The world of Battle Network is so reliant on the net, and virus attacks are so rampant, even children have to be able to fight them effectively, lest all of society collapse. No, this isn't supposed to be a terrifying dystopia created by idiots. It's supposed to be cool. And it is cool, but still really dumb. But enough about those nightmares, let's talk about the gameplay. Megaman Battle Network is an action RPG with a little bit of card collection Pokemon sort of stuff thrown in. Battles occur on a 6x3 grid, and most participants warp seamlessly between the 18 panels. There are abilities that can change this, but 9 panels for each side is the standard. At the start of a fight, Lan will be presented with his chip folder, which by default contains 5 battle chips. Battle chips can be sent to Mega Man to give him new attacks, repair injuries, as well as granting a variety of support effects. How many chips you can send per turn is decided by their name and their code, represented by an English letter from A to Z. Chips with the same name can be sent together, and chips with different names but the same code can be sent together. After selecting chip data, the player is given control of Mega Man, moving around the field with the D-pad, firing his unlimited ammunition Mega Buster with B, and using sent chips with A. Once you've used up your battle chips, it's time to stall by dodging increasingly intricate patterns of attacks from enemies, and picking off little bits of health you can with the Mega Buster, while the weight gauge refills on top of the screen. Once it's full, you can press L or R to open the chip folder again, and the process repeats until you've busted the virus, at which point you're given a busting rank depending on your performance, which determines what reward you get for winning. With that little lesson behind him, Lan heads home to find a strangely unique-looking NPC fixing his home's control panel, apparently to prevent the oven mishaps that have been happening around town. Our oven's gonna fucking explode, isn't it? Up in Lan's room, Mega Man suggests we jack into the net and see if anything interesting is happening. Welcome to the internet. Well, more of an early 2000s rated-E idealized version of the internet. Not nearly enough Sonic feet, casual racism, and creepy porn for this to be the real internet. Most of the net is composed of these data strip walkways, making many areas maze-like. Memorization is important around these parts, because it's not hard to get lost in more complex netscapes. You want to avoid this for, well, time-wasting purposes, because Mega Man Battle Network functions on the random encounter system of RPG battles. This, oddly, never functions as some sort of survival challenge or item management or anything like that, because Mega Man's health resets at the start of each battle. Later Battle Network games would dispose of this mechanic, making the first game the least challenging of the bunch, seeing as you're unlikely to ever die from a random encounter and lose progress. That's not to say there's no reason to explore the maps. A ton of treasured data crystals are sprinkled around the web and can contain anything from small amounts of Zenny to new battle chips. Some are so valuable that they're locked with a passcode that you'll have to find somewhere else. Well, that was a fulfilling, educational, and enriching internet-based experience. Let us go see how Mother is doing. Oh dear. I never thought I'd say this sentence, but an oven is the first dungeon of the game. Unlike the net area where you wander aimlessly, the boss dungeons always revolve around some sort of puzzle-based gimmick. In this area, for instance, there are fires spouting from the roads that can only be passed by using a cooling program, but the cooling program only has 7 uses. Getting it refilled takes a while, and the flames will start burning again, so you have to get to the end while only putting out the 7 specific fires that need to be extinguished. If you want, there are alternate pathways with treasure on them, you'll just have to keep going back and recharging the cooling program. Shock horror, the repair guy was working for this organization. it's pronounced World 3, an infamous hacker group that plans to take over the world via the net through as of yet unknown means. Mr. Match and his Navi Fireman have been going through people's home control panels in search of some kind of special program. Being a 12-year-old boy and his glorified Tamagotchi, Lan and Megaman attack the world-renowned terrorist and launch us into a boss fight. Though, boss is a strong word for this encounter. Fireman only uses one attack for the majority of the battle, a straight fire blast that doesn't even try to hit you. He's got a few more fire-based moves, but those only come out when his health is really low, and by then... Mr. Match laments his loss, but remarks that he got the file he was looking for anyway before jacking out. Since I guess this hasn't prompted any sort of police investigation, and no one questions Lan about what happened to the terrorist, or really anyone treating this situation seriously whatsoever, we just sort of skip to class a few days later. Get used to this pacing. Miss Mari introduces a new teacher, Mr. Higsby, who isn't suspicious in any way, shape, or form. Why would you think that? After the next period, Higsby takes Mari's place, on account of her being sick, before jacking into the blackboard to instruct class. Wow, this children's video game sure is predictable for some reason. Lan, obviously, sends Megaman into the net to investigate, and Mail offers Roll's assistance to him in the form of a battle chip, one that steals HP from an opponent and gives it to Megaman. This is actually one of the better battle chips throughout the whole series, so we should definitely equip it now. In Battle Network, you can change the pool of chips pulled from in encounters by editing your folder. The folder only has 30 slots for chips, so choosing not only powerful battle chips, but also ones that match is important. Having a bunch of super powerful attacks might not always be helpful if you can only use one per turn, so sometimes it's best to sacrifice a really good chip with a weird letter for a slightly weaker chip with a more common one. Inside the classroom's internet, it's time to look for the program that controls the door locks so the students can escape. As we unlock more doors throughout the school, Lan has to take advantage of an interesting puzzle gimmick that's one of the more memorable and unique aspects of the Battle Network games, switching between Lan and Megaman to make progress. The password hints for the doors relate to things out in the real world, and you have to take control of Lan to find the answers and relay them back to Megaman. Enjoy the simplicity of this first set, because this gets obnoxiously fucking obtuse in later games. At the end of this level, we battle Numberman, whose fight holds slight puzzle elements and is pretty challenging compared to Fireman at least, given your limited chip selection this early in the game. Get used to mashing that B button to stop his lottery balls, and things should work out okay. Higsby sees the error of his ways in like 5 seconds because this game's overall pace is way too fucking fast. We finished 2 dungeons in around a half hour already, and it really doesn't give any extra time for characterization or nuance or to just take a breather. It is a GBA game, space is limited, so I kinda understand the game's hurried, especially for their first attempt. With today's life-threatening disaster behind us, Lan hears that the metro line is opened up again today, so he goes to see his father, who's a key scientist at the world-famous Scilab. Or not, because there was a landslide in the cyberworld that's closed down the entire metro station system. Since no one else in this fucking universe is gonna fix anything, I guess we should go look around the net for more information. But with all that money from the last stages, I decided it'd be good to stop by a store and purchase some health upgrades and power-up units. HP memory is self-explanatory. It increases your health by 10 points for each one you collect. Power-ups can be spent to increase one of the 3 parameters of Mega Man's Buster: its strength, its firing rate, and how quickly the charged shot takes to prepare. Doing any of these actions increases Mega Man's level, which is more so an indication of completion rather than of strength. When you're level 100, it means you've collected all available upgrades. This gives purpose to fighting enemies, as money is for all intents and purposes a replacement for the experience points the game lacks. While I'm mentioning beating enemies, let's talk about a specific one in this area. Every virus and rival Navi has their own unique method of battle. Some can be beaten with raw strength, some with timing, and some with clever strategy. And then there's Miney. His entire battle plan is to stand in a single unmoving location and place horrifically damaging mines at random. The randomness is bad enough, but the damage is so beyond ridiculous that this early you can't afford to be hit by more than just one. So if you step on one on accident and happen to not be in line with him when the invincibility frames die off, you're gonna be standing in place praying for some sort of battle chip that can hit this little bastard while he just keeps burying more mines. For reference, the boss of this area, and the cause of the rock slide, is megaman.exe, who's completely uneventful and bland, but also took me less time than fighting the mindfucker. Pushing that behind us, the metro line should be open now, so let's head for the Scilab again. Dicks. The next day, Lan, along with the rest of AC/DC Town, awake to find that all the liquid is missing. You heard me. All the liquid. Even bottled water and vending machines. Gone. This would be terrifying if imagining how it was pulled off without anybody noticing wasn't so comical. Down at the waterworks, which is right next to the Scilab, Lan comes face to anime rival face with some self-important asshat, a young professional net battler, which in this techno-hell world is kinda like being the internet FBI. Here's how his name is spelled. Guess how you say it. Nope, it's Sho. It's the French word for hot, which is how the English team at Capcom translated his Japanese name, Enzan. Enzan means operate, or calculate. So yes, in Japanese his name is another computer pun, but Enzan also apparently means flame mountain? I tried for like an hour to find any source on this claim, but couldn't find anything proving it. Everywhere I looked, Enzan only meant calculate or operate. Kazan means fire mountain, but that's the closest I could find. This must be some weird language trick I don't understand. Let's just use his proper name even if it's a little weird. Sho heads off to the pump room and Lan sneaks in after him, but is caught by a woman who, to be honest, looks more like a Pokemon gym leader than a Mega Man character. She's a member of World 3 who tells Lan to beat it and continues on her way, because World 3 are the most childish and incompetent terrorist group to ever exist. After jacking into the water plant's network, Mega Man finds the insides frozen over. Hope you like sliding sequences, because that's what we're doing here. Water valves can be turned on and off to melt the ice, but can't be passed while they're on. Shortly after clearing the first room, the Blue Bomber comes upon a red sword-wielding net Navi that he and Lan mistake for a World 3 member, only for it to be revealed as Protoman.exe, the Navi of Sho, and Battle Network interpretation of Mega Man's original rival, Protoman. He instructs Mega Man to stay the fuck out of his business, then warps away. Moments later, I think I should have taken his advice. You don't realize how crazy high the encounter rate is until you've been trying to find the correct path over and over again. While my opinion might change later as I play through the other games, because it's been a long time, this is what I remember being the worst part of all 6 games. Trying in vain to suss out the path forward, while a ceaseless stream of viruses rains upon Mega Man's candy ass. It's unbearable in this first entry because you can't run from battles. The only way to leave a fight is to waste folder slots on escape chips and pray that you pull them. It gets tedious quickly, but only if you get lost. So this is either the game's largest flaw, or something you might not even notice depending on which random paths you choose to follow. Eventually, the duo finds the frozen water pump and uses a fire shot to thaw it out. All's well that ends well, I suppose. Sho proceeds to call Lan a dumb fuck because the problem wasn't that the pump was froze over. It's that the water purifier was frozen over, and he should have dealt with that first. Lan hears from Yai that the son of the waterworks head scientist, Dr. Freud, has been kidnapped and is being used as blackmail to force Freud into helping World 3. Lan finds Freud's son, who gives him a handle program and a note to give to his dad, but we need to find him first. This is not good, and to be frank, it's my own fault. You have to return to the waterworks to find the pump program, but nothing is different here in comparison to the first time. I spent a half hour walking around fighting constant virus ambushes just looking for where to go. It turns out I overthought it. There's one water spigot that can't be turned because its valve is missing. Well, Freud's son gave Lan a handle program. Yeah. I thought it meant handle in the internet sense, some sort of username to get into a room or something. Everything else in the game is constantly spouting internet-based lingo, so I just figured that's what it was, not a literal fucking handle. After using the program, it's a simple stroll to the pump where Iceman.exe is waiting. After convincing Protoman that the doctor was being blackmailed, Lan tries to tell Freud his son is safe, but there has to be a boss for this area still, so he refuses to listen, thrusting us into battle. Iceman is a straightforward robot master, but can still pose quite a challenge if you're not prepared. He'll set up 3 ice blocks in front of Megaman's side of the board and then throw plus-shaped bombs at you. These require 2 movements instead of 1 because you can't move diagonally. Stack that on top of your reduced space to maneuver, and still having to hit the freezy bastard, and things can get hectic. It really helps to have an area grab chip here to give yourself more room to work. Once Iceman is beaten, Dr. Freud is willing to listen, and when he hears his son is safe, he restores the purifier pump to normal. Elsewhere, Proto-Man corners a World 3 Navi called Color Man, but the weird clown thing disconnects before he can stop it. We're then given a glimpse of a World 3 meeting, where they go over their grand plan, dubbed Endgame. By stealing the 4 super programs that control the major aspects of society, they intend to create something called the Life Virus, though it isn't explained what that is just yet. Another time skip later, we join Megaman and Lan again, hanging out in Dentown with Mail while trying to find a present for Yai's birthday. If Mail would show up, that is. I have no idea how I could possibly take this story seriously. World 3 has injected a virus into the computers that run the autonomous vehicles around Dentown, and is charging people $1 million a piece to get it removed. Jacking into a nearby lamppost, Megaman enters the traffic control system, constructed of color-changing paths that change when passing over these switches. This means where and when you touch these glowing orbs is vital to making it further inside, as you can't walk along a color that's turned off. Megaman restores the traffic lights, and Lan warns everyone not to fall for World 3's scam. This enrages Miss Mad, the World 3 operative who was screwing with the waterworks. But because she's really bad at this terror thing, she just cryptically warns Lan that someone he loves is in trouble and walks away. This is immediately followed by Mail calling in a panic because she's taking part in the new Speed movie, so we should probably do something about that, I guess. Back to the Stop-Go station to save the city from this G-rated Black Mirror episode. The viruses here are in large part the same as we've seen before, but there's one new jelly friend here to ruin the day. Fittingly named Jellies. These spineless amorphous blobs of fuck have but a single attack that they charge throughout the fight. If you don't kill them before they fire... After solving a lot more switch mazes, and I'm not kidding when I say a lot, Lan and Megaman get the chance to stop Miss Mad and her Navi, colorman.exe. Also, Roll is there. Colorman has 2 bop bag looking sub-navis that protect him from the front 2 rows, as well as firing torrents of fire and water at random intervals. His cover means that chipping off health with the Mega Buster isn't a reliable option, so the flow of the fight consists of dodging around in circles and waiting for powerful battle chips you can use in the brief openings. Many days later... Again... Lan and his mother are invited by Lan's dad to some sort of fancy get-together at the government complex. Well, if we're gonna be going somewhere that fancy, we're gonna need some new threads, man. A few layers into the internet, we find another merchant. This one sells HP memories, but fuck that, he's got armor. There are 3 different armors purchasable throughout the game: wood, fire, and aqua. They have their obvious elemental weaknesses, but in exchange, they double Mega Man's base defense. I know he doesn't look any different, but trust me, that right there? Half damage. At the party that night, Lan and his family head to the underground restaurant hall. Dr. Hikari begins to ask Lan about Mega Man, mentioning that Mega Man isn't the same as other net navis, but before he can explain what he means by that, he's called to handle an emergency. An emergency that makes itself known to all when yet another World 3 soldier appears on the balcony. Captain Sparkle over here uses his Navi, megaman.exe, to shut down the power, and since everyone is underground, the air can no longer circulate. Lan makes his way to the generator's PC, but is warned that since it has no power, Mega Man can only pull from the PET's battery to repair himself. If he were to suffer some catastrophic failure or incur fatal damage, he would be unable to heal or even restore from a backup. essentially, Mega Man would die. Upon hearing this, Lan refuses to send Mega Man inside, but good old Rockman is willing to risk it to save everyone, telling Lan he trusts his operating skills to get him out alive. This isn't just artificial tension. In the next dungeon, we're presented with the PET's battery up in the corner. Recall that the game is designed around full health restoration after every battle. That is no longer something you can completely rely on. Healing after a virus battle is limited by the energy in the battery. There are no cure items in Megaman Battle Network 1, only cure battle chips. So, no more battery, no more healing. Not that it matters, because just existing seems to also drain the battery. And existing in this level is hard. I mean, look at this. Time limit, check. Invisible paths that make up 80% of the stage, checkaroo. Multiple dumpster fire trial and error battery placement guessing games that are just there to waste time. I don't have a lot of footage for this section to show you. You know why? Because what little I did have was a glitchy mess. Why was it a mess? Repeatedly saving and loading state to solve these stupid fucking battery things. Let me lay this out for you. Here's a visual aid, because you're not gonna believe this bullshit if I don't show it to you. So, there are 5 rooms full of these puzzles, if I remember right, and it goes like this. There are 3 batteries available to use in each area. They have to be found from a specific prog bot somewhere in the oppressive black nothing that engulfs this shit world. Once you've found them and grabbed the batteries, you have to find the power slots themselves. All the slots are identical, and there's no way to tell them apart. Put the 3 batteries into whichever slot and throw the switch. The game will tell you if any of the placements are correct, but not which ones are correct. Plenty of games have puzzles like this, I'm sure you recognize the idea. But that's just the start. Each battery has a measly 2 charges. After 2 guesses, you have to go back to the prog to recharge them. And then, the last few power grids are tied together and require you to move batteries back and forth between them. Wow, you're triggering random encounters every 10 steps, and a death timer is incessantly ticking away. If I wasn't using save states, this would have been impossible. I would have given up from the sheer tedium and frustration. Hey, it's Elecman. Off to murder your boss now, you smiley bitch. What's that? Bombman.exe is guarding Dr. Wily's computer. Maybe you should have just shot the 12-year-old boy instead of challenging him to online PvP! Dr. Wily merges the super programs and completes the life virus, setting the final stage of the endgame plan into motion. With the use of an old Metro card he got from Higsby, Lance enters a secret subway line underneath the school and rides it to a mountain outside the city, where a missile is preparing to launch the life virus into space. Once there, it will infect the various space stations that control the net and, start a war? The game never really bothered telling me what the life virus even does. It just keeps saying war over and over again. There aren't any robots in the Battle Network universe to infect into performing acts of war, like the Sigma virus. Do they mean like a nuclear holocaust, but it's being censored for the sake of kids who might play this? Whatever it is, it's bad, and Lan and Mega Man need to stop it. Unfortunately, Dr. Hikari doesn't think they stand a chance. He worries that Lan and Hub won't be strong enough to beat Wily and begins formulating a strategy to help them. In order to get to the rocket itself, we have to pass a series of ascending doors. Within each door's electric lock is... No. Repeating every stupid fucking puzzle. Let's just go. As the people around Dentex City, Lan and Mega Man help appear to aid them in breaking through World 3's defenses, Wily sends out his right-hand man, Yahoo, I'm not making that up, and his Navi, megaman.exe, to stop the intruders. After a fight that's a little, well... chaotic, Magic Man is a single blow away from being deleted when the plot steps in to fuck things up. With his body and soul in full sync with his brother, Mega Man is now loaded up to max power, with all buster stats at 5. And it's a straight shot to the missile's control console where the life virus is about to be launched. And oh boy, all that climactic build-up is entirely wasted on this final boss fight. I really don't have much to say about the life virus. It is severely disappointing. It's got a shield that only goes down when it's performing an attack, but that's hardly an issue at this point. You don't even have to really aim because it's so large it takes up the entire side of the arena. Heck, most of its attacks can't even hit you if you just stand on the back squares. It's just a matter of dodging some basic attacks and pumping your most powerful battle chips into it. It's really quite depressing. And there we go. That was the first Mega Man Battle Network game. Out of 6. I respect the game for what it began, all the new ideas, and the gameplay style, but it screams first try. The combat for what it is incredibly bare bones. There's no element of timing or any real strategy with chip usage. Pick the chips that dish out the most damage with the fastest animations. There's not much else. The auto health regeneration means almost every virus encounter can be won by sponging damage as you spam the buster, as there's no consequence when the battle's over. The puzzle dungeons range from fine but overstaying their welcome to fucking burn it. The plot is very simple and bland, coming off of the engaging and slightly more mature stories of Mega Man X and Mega Man Zero. Overall, the game's okay. It's not the worst Battle Network game, everyone knows which one that is, but it's also most certainly not the one I'd start with. Come back when you're already interested in the franchise if you're that curious. It's not like you're missing any important lore, I've explained everything you need to know throughout the video. I think the simplicity of the combat, the frustrating parts, along with the bog standard narrative would make a lot of people quit halfway through and abandon the sub-series entirely.